Dungeon Reaper. A light novel by Bloodmoss. Chapter 3. Welcome to the Other Side. Kain's first sensation was cold, not the icy sting of winter, but a deep, hollow chill that crept into his bones. His eyes blinked open to a world devoid of vibrance. The familiar streets of Crystal Gate stretched before him, but the colors were washed out, muted as if someone had drained the life from the city. The air was still. Too still. No sounds of traffic, no murmurs of life, nothing but the faint echo of his own breathing. He sat up, his hands brushing against damp pavement. "What the hell?" he muttered, his voice sounding too loud in the oppressive silence. A sharp, rhythmic clack of heels broke the oppressive silence. Kain turned toward the sound and saw her, a towering figure cutting through the muted gray like a force of nature. She was built solid, with the kind of frame that promised she didn't need backup, and a look on her face that said she dared anyone to test her. Her black suit jacket strained slightly at the shoulders, the sleeves rolled up to reveal strong, no-nonsense arms. A clipboard dangled loosely in one hand, and her sharp, assessing gaze pinned him in place as if she'd already decided he wasn't worth the trouble. "You're up," she said, not slowing her stride. "Took your sweet time." Kain staggered to his feet. Who are you?" The woman stopped a few feet away, giving him a once-over with eyes that seemed to weigh and measure every flaw. "Shaniqua Miller. Your new supervisor. And you must be Keith Noland." She checked her clipboard, then gave a satisfied nod. "Yep. You're the poor bastard that lost his ass in the dungeon." "It's Kain," he said reflexively. Shaniqua raised an eyebrow, looking up from her clipboard. "Oh, you think your little name change trumps the paperwork? Let me clue you in, sunshine. This clipboard? Rules of the universe. Your feelings? Not even a footnote. Now, can we move on, or are you gonna cry about it?" Kain opened his mouth, closed it, and finally managed, "What's going on here? Where am I?" She gestured around them. "Welcome to the in-between. It's like Crystal Gate but shittier. No people, no noise, no bugs. Honestly, the no bugs part is a plus. But you? You're dead." His heart stopped, then started again, faster this time. "Wait, dead? That doesn't make any sense. I'm standing here talking to you." Shaniqua rolled her eyes. "And yet, here we are. You're dead, Keith. And now you're on death's peril. Congrats, you've been promoted to eternal grunt work." "What?" "Listen," she said, her tone somewhere between exasperation and pity. "Death's been doing his thing for millennia. Collect souls, yada yada yada, move on. Then dungeons started popping up and screwing with his system. Now souls get stuck in those hellholes and Death's jurisdiction doesn't reach. So he needed a workaround." Kain blinked, completely uncomprehensive. And you're the workaround." She gestured at him with the clipboard. "Look, you died ass first into a dungeon gate. That makes you a certain kind of special. Welcome to the team." "This is insane," he said, shaking his head. She shrugged. "Most people don't ask to die. Life's unfair, death's worse. Now, shut up and follow me. I don't have time for your existential crisis." He stood there, frozen, as she started walking away. "Aren't I supposed to just go to heaven or something?" Shaniqua stopped, turning to look at him with a bemused expression. "Oh, that's adorable. You think heaven's an option. Isn't it? Beats the hell out of me. Haven't seen a shred of evidence it exists, and I've been doing this for a hot minute." She raised her voice and addressed the empty city. "Anyone here know about heaven? No? Didn't think so. Now get your ass in gear before I leave you here to figure it out yourself. Spoiler, you won't." She resumed walking, and after a long moment, Kain followed. As he caught up, he muttered, "This can't be real." Shaniqua glanced at him, smirking. "You keep telling yourself that, Keith. Let me know how it works out." Her heels clacked against the pavement as the lifeless city stretched before them. Kain jogged a few steps to catch up with Shaniqua, her unfaltering stride not matching her hefty physique. She seemed as unrelenting as the muted city loomed around them. The streets were hauntingly familiar, but everything was off. Puddles scattered across the pavement seemed frozen mid-ripple, their surfaces unnaturally smooth. Streetlights cast weak, grayish beams that barely penetrated the haze. The air hung heavy and unmoving, suffocating in its stillness. Kain glanced at the towering skyscrapers, their windows dark, reflecting faint, distorted versions of himself and Shaniqua. He shivered despite the absence of any wind. "So this is the afterlife?" he said, his voice subdued. She snorted. "Not quite. Think of it as the lobby. You're here 'cause you're not ready for the big leagues yet. Death's got plans for you." "Plans? Like what?" She arched an eyebrow. "When dumbass like you die in those dungeons, you think death just waltzes in and picks up your soul like it's an Amazon package. Newsflash, he can't." Kain blinked. "Why not?" "Because those damn dungeons aren't part of his jurisdiction. They're different. Multidimensional, unstable. The usual rules don't apply, which means those souls stay stuck, making a mess of things." She waved her clipboard for emphasis. "That's where Dungeon Reapers come in." "Dungeon Reapers?" Kain asked, narrowing his eyes. Shaniqua resumed walking, her heels clicking on the pavement. "Yep. Death needed a workaround, so he started recruiting poor bastards like you who die right at the gate. Congrats, Keith. You're the solution." Kain hurried after her, his thoughts spinning. Wait. So you're telling me I'm supposed to, go into dungeons and collect souls for death? Like, I'm the Grim Reaper. He couldn't keep the excitement out of his voice. For a moment, visions of cloaked figures and scythes danced in his mind. Do I get a cloak? Or one of those cool scythes? Please tell me there's a scythe. Shaniqua stopped so abruptly he nearly ran into her. She turned, fixing him with a flat, unimpressed stare. "Okay, let's get one thing straight, sunshine. You're not the Grim Reaper. You're a Reaper. And no, you're not getting a scythe. You're getting a clipboard and a pile of regret." Kain blinked. "But..." "No buts," she cut him off, jabbing a finger at his chest. "This isn't some badass, cloak-swirling, soul-harvesting gig. You're not swooping in on a black horse to reap the unworthy. You're a glorified janitor cleaning up the mess death can't reach. You get in, grab the souls, and get out. No capes, no theatrics, and sure as hell no scythe. Got it?" Kain deflated, his excitement fizzling out like a popped balloon. "Oh!" Shaniqua smirked. "Good. Welcome to the afterlife, Keith. We crush dreams for a living." Kain hesitated, the weight of her words pressing down on him. "This is a lot." "Yeah, and we're just getting started," Shaniqua said, her voice dripping with false cheer. She gestured at the empty street ahead. "Now shut up and keep moving. We're almost there." A small cafe was tucked between two faded office buildings, the kind of place you'd miss if you blinked. Its peeling sign, Café Afterlife, swayed gently in a non-existent breeze, the letters barely clinging to their rusting mounts. Shaniqua stopped in front of the door, her clipboard tucked under her arm. "All right, Keith, welcome to HQ." Kain squinted at the sign. "This is where you work? A dead cafe?" Pun intended. Shaniqua smirked. "Cute. Don't let the decor fool you. This place is where the magic happens. And by magic, I mean bureaucracy." She shoved the door open, the faint chime of a bell echoing in the empty street. Inside, the cafe was even less impressive. The furniture was mismatched and well-worn, the walls of faded beige that might once have been cheerful but now looked like disappointment incarnate. The smell of stale coffee lingered in the air. The cafe's interior was dimly lit, the air thick with the scent of stale coffee and something faintly metallic. The mismatched furniture gave the room a cluttered, lived-in feel, as if it had been assembled from the leftovers of countless garage sales. Near the window sat a wiry man with sharp features and circular wire-rimmed glasses perched on his nose. He flipped a page of his newspaper without looking up. "You're into this, aren't you?" Edgar asked, his tone flat but faintly amused. Kain blinked. "Into what?" "This." Edgar gestured at the room, then at Kain. "You're not freaking out. You're practically giddy. Most folks take this a little harder. Maria snickered, twirling her pen. Compared to Tobias, you're practically a cheerleader. Tobias shot her a look over his coffee mug. I was adjusting. Not everyone gets excited about dying. Kain frowned. Hey, I'm standing right here. Exactly, Edgar said, turning back to his paper. That's what makes it weird. Maybe he hasn't processed it yet, Maria offered, grinning. You know, give him 5 minutes to panic. Kain frowned. Hey, I'm right here, you know. Exactly, Edgar replied, turning back to his paper. That's what makes it weird. Shaniqua stepped past Kain, slapping her clipboard onto the counter with a resounding thwack. All right, knock it off, she said, glaring at the group. Heath here's just enthusiastic because he doesn't know how deep the shit pile is yet. Let him have his moment. Thanks. I think, Kain muttered. Shaniqua stepped past him, her heels clicking against the floor as she slapped her clipboard onto the counter. Keith, meet the peanut gallery. Edgar's the brain, Maria's the optimist, and Tobias. She trailed off, gesturing vaguely at the bearded giant. Well, he's Tobias. Charmed, Edgar muttered, his eyes never leaving his paper. Kain sat down cautiously, his gaze shifting between them. So, you're all Dungeon Reapers? Maria looked up, smirking. What gave it away? The dead eyes or the complete lack of enthusiasm for life? Tobias chuckled. You get used to it. Eventually. Or you don't. Either way, it's not our problem. Shaniqua dropped a massive stack of papers in front of Kain with a heavy thud. Here's the deal. Terms and regulations. Standard stuff. Eternity or until death says you're done. No dental, no 401k, but you do get this fine company. You're kidding, right? Kain asked seriously, blinking at the stack. Do I look like I'm kidding? She shot back, arching an eyebrow. Kind of, he muttered. I mean, this is ridiculous. Edgar folded his newspaper neatly, finally meeting Kain's eyes. The way I see it, you're already dead. So, what's a little paperwork? It's not like you're busy. Thanks, Kain said dryly. Super helpful. Tobias leaned forward, resting his forearms on the table. Look, kid, it takes a special kind of acceptance to do this job, and a special kind of stupid to qualify. Lucky for you, you've got both. Is sarcasm part of the job description? Kain asked, glaring at Shaniqua. It's not official, Shaniqua said, smirking. It just comes with the territory. Now, start signing. I've got better things to do than babysit. Kain stared down at the towering stack of paperwork in front of him. It felt heavier than it had any right to be, and each page was dense with terms he was sure he'd never understand. You'd think the afterlife would be simpler, he muttered, picking up the pen. Shaniqua smirked from across the table. Kid, you're dealing with death. You expected cloud fluff and harp music? This is a bigger bureaucracy than life. Now sign. Maria leaned in from her seat nearby, sipping a chipped mug of coffee. Don't overthink it, newbie. None of us read it either. Just the standard eternal servitude stuff. Yeah, Tobias added with a grin. And no refunds. If you're looking for a customer service line, you're out of luck. Kain rolled his eyes and began signing the first page. Fantastic. I'm so glad my eternal soul is in good hands. Speaking of souls, Edgar said, folding his newspaper. You know this body's just a stand-in, right? Placeholder until the real one's ready. Kain paused mid-signature. Great. Afterlife on a budget. Shaniqua smirked. It's not about style, Keith. Placeholder's temporary, tied to your soul. The real body? That's coming next. Shaniqua leaned back, smirking. You think I'd pick this look on purpose? She gestured at herself. Middle-aged, 250-pound black woman? Nah. Edgar's eyes lit up, his tone dripping with lechery. And yet, here you are. Strong, smart, voluptuous. Maria groaned, tossing her pen onto the table. Kiss ass. Perv, Tobias said without looking up. Shaniqua turned her glare on Edgar. You couldn't handle this ass when you were breathing, and you sure as hell can't handle it now. Edgar grinned. Sounds like a challenge. Okay, so there's also no HR in the afterlife. Got it? Kain cut in, pinching the bridge of his nose. Then why do you look like this? Here? Now? If you have a new body, I mean. Edgar shot in. This place isn't real either. This is a projection of the real world, and we get summoned here sometimes when things are going on. When you're in between, you look like this. Maria continued for Edgar. Team meetings, apocalyptic scenarios, birthday parties. We never know until we get here and find out. Tobias shrugged. We know that you get one shot. Once you're in your Reaper body, your soul's tied to it. Lose the body, lose the soul. And trust me, kid, if that happens, your Reaper days are over. Permanently. Maria's voice softened slightly. And after that, well, none of us really know. Nobody's seen anything resembling heaven or hell. Just a lot of nothing. Kain looked up, his stomach sinking. Nothing? That's all there is. For a moment, silence settled over the table. Tobias finally broke it, his voice low. Yeah, kid, that's all anyone's got. Shaniqua clapped her hands sharply, shattering the moment. And that's more than enough. Now, eyes forward, Keith. You've got a job now, and I've got better things to do than babysit your existential crisis. Kain finished the last signature and pushed the stack of papers away with a sigh of relief. That's it, right? I'm officially a Reaper now. Not yet, Shaniqua said, grabbing the forms. First, we gotta make you presentable. She stood and motioned for him to follow her. He hesitated, glancing at the others. Maria gave him an encouraging smile. Don't worry, newbie. This is the fun part. The group shared a chuckle as Kain trailed after Shaniqua toward the back room. The change in atmosphere was immediate. A sleek, futuristic console in the dimly lit room pulsed faintly with energy, casting a cool blue glow across the metallic walls. Kain took a step forward, his eyes widening. What is this? Shaniqua tapped a few buttons, bringing a spinning hologram of Kain's current form into view. This is your body's blueprint. We're gonna rebuild you from scratch, make you fit for duty. Kain swallowed hard, the weight of her words settling in. So, what now? Maria's voice echoed from the doorway, cheerful as ever. Now you pick your upgrades. It's like designing your own superhero. Tobias groaned. Don't encourage him, Maria. He's already got that wide-eyed idiot look. Keep it practical, Keith. It's Kain, he corrected absent-mindedly, staring at the hologram. Whatever, Shaniqua muttered. You want taller, faster, stronger? Go nuts. But remember, you only get one shot at this. Kain hesitated, the flickering hologram holding his gaze. So this is it, huh? My new life. Shaniqua crossed her arms, her smirk fading to a razor-thin line. This is your shot, Keith. Get it wrong, and it's game over, for real this time. She motioned to the others as she stepped back. Let him sweat it out. Nothing like a little pressure to bring out the best. Maria chuckled, her voice fading as she left. Don't blow it, newbie.